What's up guys, Ray here with another video for This Is December entitled This Is Welcome to the N.H.K. Now, Welcome to the N.H.K. is kind of a strange and unfamiliar series which doesn't particularly have a very happy end and shares very few happy moments throughout the series. But look at me, I've already started talking about the plot and we haven't even fallen
off the tracks.
So Welcome to the N.H.K. actually revolves around the lives of several young adults, all who live within or around the city of Tokyo. Many different lifestyles are shown throughout the series, but the one that this anime seems to focus on the most throughout the entire course of the series is that of a hikikomori, which can also be known as an anime otaku or something like that. It's basically where a person shelters themselves from the outside world and spends all their time indoors, not employed, not going to school or anything, just sitting there and watching anime. Mostly. The main protagonist of Welcome to the N.H.K. is Tatsuhiro Sato, who is a university dropout entering his 4th year of unemployment. He leads a reclusive life as a hikikomori and eventually comes to the conclusion that this all happened to him because of some big conspiracy against him. One day, when he thinks his life is utterly unchangeable, he meets Misaki Nakahara, a mysterious girl who claims to be able to cure Sato of his hikikomori ways. She presents Sato with a contract which basically outlines that every evening they will meet in a local park, where Misaki will lecture Sato in an attempt to try and change his ways for the better. During these meetings, many subjects are discussed, but most, if not all of them, do somehow relate back to psychology or psychoanalysis. So that's where the whole strangeness comes into it, because it's a very technical and very heavy topic that you can't really just like sit down and get into it. You need to actually have some form of brain power going, or at least an interest in the topic, to be able to fully enjoy the anime, in my opinion. However, despite Misaki's offer and her best wishes towards Sato, it's actually Sato's neighbor and high school friend Kaoru Yamazaki who ends up being the biggest influence in Sato's life. Whether that's for the best or for the worst, whether it'll cure him of his anime ways or whether it'll just dig him further, you're just going to have to watch the series to find out for that. It's definitely a large comedy, and I hesitate to use the term slice of life because it's kind of a little bit surreal, but I would say it's kind of a slice of life anime if you're a fan of those genres. Again, it is a little bit heavy, so you can't exactly just go into it and expecting a brainless laugh-a-palooza, but it's definitely something to check out. Now let's move on to the next segment of This Is, which is none other than
the good, the bad, and the dubbers.
So as I said before, there were 3 main characters, Sato, Misaki, and Yamazaki. Sato is played by none other than Chris Patton, who people may recognize as the original Greed from Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Azura from Soul Eater, and Gintoki from the Gintama movie. Misaki is voiced by none other than Stephanie Whittles, who people may also recognize as Sakurako from Holic, Kyoko from Clannad, and Kano from Air. Yamazaki is voiced by Greg Ayres, who amongst many notable roles has done the roles of Genta from Dead Man Wonderland, Tommy Rod from Toriko, and Lord Kenshin from Sengoku Bizarro Samurai Kings. As I have said in this video, Welcome to the N.H.K. is another very, very heavy anime which you need to be paying attention to fully follow and understand, but it's not as brain heavy as Akira was. It is broken into slight episodic, I guess you could kind of say arcs. There is an overarching storyline, but you can basically pick it up almost anywhere and you'll be able to figure out what's going on pretty quickly. It's a very short series. I think it's only about 26 episodes, so it is rather short, and I do recommend it. It's got a very cartoonish art style to the anime, which when you think about it, it's kind of funny considering anime is nothing more than Japanese cartoons, but it's more cartoonish than other more realistic anime, and that kind of lends a childlike charm to it. It's another one that I wouldn't exactly recommend for younger viewers, simply because of some of the themes that are discussed throughout the series, but definitely give this one a check out, especially if you're into stuff like psychology or anything like that, really. Welcome to the N.H.K. actually gets an 8 out of 9 vending machines from me. I found that it was a really good series and it was something that I clicked with almost immediately, but it's not the best thing I've seen out there. It is good, but it falls just short of the mark. Anyway, I'm Ray. This has been another episode of This Is December. Catch you on the flip side.